name is Cariana Santos. I am the director of CHS Drama Club, as well as the director of the show that you will see tonight. So I want to thank you guys so much for coming. It means the world to us. We really, really appreciate your support. I also want to just a little bit of a warning about this show. So there is strong language. There is language that is hateful. There's hate speech. And I just want to warn you guys that if you need to step out at time, please feel free to do so. It's your right. We understand. It's a very, very strong, emotional, moving show. So take care of yourself. So I want to give you guys a little bit of a background about what the Laramie Project is. So the Laramie Project was actually introduced to me as part of curriculum at high school in 2012, and it's still used today in many classes. Some of you may have read it before in your English classes. The Tectonic Theater Company is based in New York, and they traveled to Laramie, Wyoming to conduct interviews of the people of the town. Their goal was to create a raw and authentic play about how Laramie was affected by the savage hate crime committed against Matthew Shepard. Every single word in this production was taken from those interviews. The show will move you, bring you to tears, and hopefully open your hearts and minds to enact change in your own ways. The language you will hear tonight is shocking again, but it is shocking just like the crime against Matthew Shepard was shocking to the nation and to Laramie, Wyoming. The words in this play and the reactions and the feelings of the people of Laramie are authentic and unchanged. So I want you to keep that in mind as you watch the show tonight. So, without further ado, without further mic breakage, welcome to the Laramie Project. Enjoy.
On November 14, 1998, the members of the Tectonic Theater Project traveled to Laramie and conducted interviews with the people of the town. During the next year, they would return to Laramie 7 times and conduct over 200 interviews. The play you're about to see is edited from these interviews, as well as journal texts from the company members and other founding sources. Company member Greg Brody.
My first interview was with Detective Sergeant Ping, the Laramie Police Department. At the start of the interview, he was sitting behind his desk, sitting a little something like this. I was born and raised here. My family is a 3rd generation. My grandparents moved here in the early 1900s. We've had basically 3. Well, my daughter makes it 4th generation. Quite a while. It's a good place to live. Good people, lots of space. Now, all the towns in southern Wyoming are laid out and spaced because of the railroad came through. It was how far they could go before having to refuel, rewater, and Laramie was a major stopping point. That's why the towns are spaced so far apart. We're one of the largest states in the country and the least populated.
There's a lot of space between people and towns here. Lots of time for reflection.
Rebecca Hilliger, head of the theater department at the University of Wyoming.
You have an opportunity to be happy in your life here. I've found that people here were nicer than in the Midwest because they were happier. They were happy the sun was shining. And it shines a lot here.
What you have is, you have your old-time traditional type ranchers. They've been here forever. Laramie's been the hub of where they come for their supplies and stuff like that.
Stewardship is one thing all our ancestors taught us.
Eileen Ennigan, rancher.
If you don't take care of your land, then you ruin it, and you lose your living. So first of all, you have to take care of your land, and do everything you can to improve upon it.
I look at you.
Doc O'Connor, limousine driver.
You could not put me in that mess out there back east. Best thing about it is the climate, the cold, the wind. They say the Wyoming wind will drive a man insane. But you know what? It doesn't bother me. Well, some of the times it bothers me, but most of the time it don't.
And then you have the university population.
I moved to Laramie after living in a couple larger cities.
Philip Dubois, president of the University of Wyoming.
I loved it there, but you'd have to be out of your mind to let your kids out after dark. Here, in the summertime, my kids play out 9 to 11, and I don't think twice about it.
And then you have the people who live in Laramie, basically.
I moved here from rural Texas.
Zaki Salmon, Laramie resident.
Now, in Laramie, if you don't know someone, you'll definitely know someone they know. So, it can only be 1 degree removed at most. And personally, I love it. I love going to the grocery store because I get to visit with 4, 5, 6 people every time I go. And I don't really mind people knowing my business. Because what is my business? I mean, it's basically good.
I like the trains too. They don't bother me. Well, some of the times they bother me, but most of the time they don't. Even though one goes by every 13 minutes out where I live.
Doc actually lives up in Boston, but everybody in Laramie knows him. He's also not really a doctor.
They used to carry cattle, them trains. Now all they carry is diapers and cars.
I grew up in Cody, Wyoming.
April Silva, university student.
Laramie's better than where I grew up. I'll give it that.
It's a good place to live, good people, lots of space. Now, when the incident happened with that boy, a lot of press people came here. And one time, some of them followed me out to the crime scene. And, well, it was a beautiful day, absolutely gorgeous day, real clear and crisp. And the sky was that blue that, you know, you'll never be able to paint. It's just sky blue, it's just gorgeous. And the mountains in the background, and a little snow in them. And this one reporter, lady person, she said to me,
Well, who found the boy? Who was out here anyway?
and I said, well, running is really popular out here, horseback riding, it's just, well, it's close to town. And she said to me,
Who in the hell would want to run out here?
and I'm thinking, lady, you're just missing the point. You know, all you have to do is look around, see the mountains, smell the air, listen to the birds, just take in what's around you. And they were just nothing but the story. I didn't feel judged. I felt that they were stupid. They were missing the point. They're just missing the whole point.
It's hard to talk about Laramie now. To tell you what Laramie means to us.
Jedediah Schultz.
If you would have asked me before, I would have told you Laramie's a beautiful town, secluded enough that you can have your own identity. A town with a strong sense of community. A town's personality that most larger cities are stripped away of. Now, after Matthew, say Laramie is a town defined by an accident, a crime. We become Wacko, we become Jasper. We're a noun, a definition, a sign. We may be able to get rid of that, but it sure will take a while.
Journal entries. Members of the company. Andy Harris.
Moises called saying he had a new idea for his next theater project. He sounded hesitant, so I asked him what it was all about. He said he wanted to do a piece about what's happening in Wyoming.
Stephen Bower.
Reed told me the company was thinking of going to Laramie to conduct interviews, and they wanted me to come. But I'm hesitant. I have no real interest into prying into a town's unraveling.
Amanda Groddick.
I've never done anything like this before. How do you get people to talk to you? What do you ask?
Moises Kaufman.
The company has agreed that we should go down to Laramie for a week and interview the people. I'm a bit afraid of taking 10 people on a trip of this nature. I must make some safety rules. No one works alone. Everybody carries a cell phone. Have some preliminary contact with Rebecca Heatherker, head of the theater department. She's going to host for us a party for our first night in Laramie and has promised to introduce us to some possible interviewees.
I must tell you, when I first heard you were thinking of coming here, when you first called me, I wanted to say you just punched me in the stomach. Why are you doing this to me? But Then I thought, that's stupid. You're not doing this to me. And more important, I've decided that we've had so much negative closure on the whole thing. And the students really need to talk. When this first happened, they started to talk about it, and then the media descended, all dialogue stopped. And I really love my students because they're free thinkers. And you may not like what they have to say, and you may not like their opinions because they can be very redneck, but they're honest and they're truthful. There's an excitement here. There's a dynamic that I never had with my students in the Midwest or in North Dakota, because there was so much Puritanism that dictated how everyone looked at the world, that most of the time you couldn't get them to express an opinion. And most of the time they didn't even have one. And I quite honestly would rather have opinions that I don't agree with and have that type of dynamic in education. There's a student I think you should talk to. His name's Jedediah Schultz.
I've lived in Laramie my whole life. The family's been in Wyoming for, well, generations. Now, when it came time to go to college, my parents couldn't afford to send me. I knew that I wanted to study theater, and I knew that if I wanted to go to college, I needed to get on a scholarship. So they had this Wyoming State High School competition each year. And I knew that if I wanted to get the scholarship, I needed to be first in duets. And so I went down to the theater department at university, looking for good scenes. And I asked this one professor, I said, I need a killer scene. And he was like, well, here you go, this is it. And it was from Angels in America. So I read through it, and I knew that if I did a good enough job, I would get first place. I would get the scholarship. So when the time came, I told my parents to come see me at the competition. You have to understand, my parents go to everything. Every ball game, every hockey game, everything I've ever done. And they brought me into the room, and they told me that if I did that scene at the competition, that they wouldn't come see me, because they believe that it is wrong. They believe that homosexuality is wrong. And they believed it so strongly, they wouldn't come see their son do probably the most important thing he'd done to that moment in his life. And I didn't know what to do about it. I've never, ever gone against my parents' wishes. And honestly, I was kind of worried about it. But I did it anyways. And all that I remember from the competition is that when we were done, me and my scene partner came up to each other and we shook hands. And there was a standing ovation. Oh man, it was amazing. And we got first place, and I got the scholarship, and that's how I can afford to be here at the university, because of that scene. And my parents weren't there to see me. And to this day, that's one thing my parents never saw me do. And looking back on it, I think to myself, well, why did I do it? Why did I oppose my parents? Because I'm not gay. And I guess the only honest answer I could give is, well, I wanted to win. It was such a good scene. It was the best scene. Do you know Mr. Kushner? Maybe you can tell him.
Company member, Greg Pearl.
We arrived today in the Denver airport and drove out to Laramie. The moment we crossed the Wyoming border, I swear I saw a herd of buffalo. Also, I thought it was strange that the Wyoming sign said Wyoming, like no place on earth, instead of Wyoming, like no place else on earth.
Company member, Lee Fondakowski.
I stopped at a local inn for a bite to eat, and my waitress said to me,
Hi, my name is Debbie. I was born in 1954, and Tabby Reynolds was very big back then, so yes, there's a lot of us around. But don't worry, I won't slap you if you leave your elbows on the table.
Today, Lee tried to explain to me what chicken fried steak was.
Now, are you from Wyoming, or are you just passing through?
we're just passing through.
Company member, Barbara Pitts.
We arrived in Laramie tonight, just past the welcome to Laramie sign. Population 26,687. The first thing to greet us was Walmart. In the dark, we could be on any main drag of America, fast food chains, gas stations. But as we drove into the downtown area by the railroad tracks, the buildings still looked like a turn-of-the-century western town. Oh, and as we passed the university inn on the sign where amenities such as heated pool or cable TV were usually touted, the sign said, "Hate is not a Laramie Valley,
Greg Parodi.
I met today with two longtime Laramie residents, Allison Mears and Marge Murray, two social service workers who taught me a thing or two.
Well, what Laramie was like when Marge and I were growing up, well, it was mostly rural.
Yeah, my kids all had horses.
I mean, you just had that bit of land. You could have a pet cow, your horse, your little chickens. You just had that bit of acreage.
Yeah, it was nice, you know. I could run around the house with my all-togethers doing the housework while the kids were at school, and nobody could see me. And if they got that close,
Then that was their problem.
yeah.
Let me just make sure I got the expression right. In your all-togethers?
Well, yeah, honey. Why wear clothes?
I was going to use that in this play.
So this is a big ranching town.
Oh, not just ranching. This was a big railroad stop at one point. Before they moved everything to Cheyenne and Green River, Omaha. And when was it? The 50s? Well, they had such a shop that they could build a complete engine.
They did. My mom worked there.
Your mom worked in Roundhouse.
Yeah, her name was Minnie. We used to sing that song for her. That song. Well, you know that song.
What song?
Run around the roundhouse, Minnie. They can't corner you there.
But other than that, Wyoming is bad in terms of jobs. I mean, the university has this big group, we do jobs, but the rest of us work at minimum wage.
Yeah, I've been either in the service industry or bartending most of my life. And now, well, I know everybody in town.
And she does.
Now I'll tell you, there's a big difference here and there. What it is, it's a class difference. It's all about the ones who are well-educated and the ones who are not. And the ones who are well-educated, well, they don't understand why the ones who are not don't get an education. So I'll tell you, my kids had to fight to get an education because their mother was a bartender. Never mind, I was the best damn bartender in town.
And she was.
And that's not bragging. That's a fact.
So, what was your reaction when this happened to Matthew?
Well, I've been close enough to the case to know many of the people involved. I have a daughter on the sheriff's department. And as for the gay issue, well, I don't give a damn one way or another as long as they don't bother me. And even if they did, I just say no thank you and carry on about my business. That's the attitude of most of us Laramie population. You know, some people, they might poke one out, you know, they're in a bar situation, they've been drinking, they might actually slap one in the mouth. But then they just walk away. Laramie's live and let live.
Yeah, I'd say Marge probably knows a lot more than what she's even willing to say. We've got to respect her for that.
Well, where are you guys going with this?
Oh, well, we weren't really sure. We're going to try to make it around to Laramie when we finish.
Okay, then there's some things I just won't tell you.
Company member Andy Perez.
Today, we've met with someone who actually knew Matthew Shepard. Tris Steger, owner of Shopping Town. Refer to him as Matt.
Matt used to come around my shop. That's how I knew him.
It was the first time I heard him referred to as Matt instead of Matthew. He'd go by Matt to everyone.
Well, on the 2nd of October, I got a call about 10 after 7.
Doc O'Connor.
It was Matthew Shepard. And he said, can you pick me up on the corner of 30 Grand? So, anyhow, I pull up to the corner to see who Matthew Shepard is, you know. It's a little guy, about 5'2", soaking wet. I bet you 97 pounds tops. They said he weighed 110, but I wouldn't believe it. They also said he was 5'5" in the newspapers, but this man, he was only about 5'2", maybe 5'1". So, anyway, he walks up to the window. I'm going to try and go in step so you better understand the principle of this man. So, he walks up to the window, and I go, are you Matthew Shepard? And he says, yeah, I'm Matthew Shepard, but I don't want you to call me Matthew or Mr. Shepard. I don't want you to call me anything. My name is Matt, and I want you to know I'm gay, and we're going to go to a gay bar. Do you have a problem with that? And I said, how are you paying? You see, the fact is, Laramie doesn't have any gay bars. And for that matter, neither does Wyoming. So, he was hiring me to take him to Fort Collins, Colorado, about an hour away. Matt was a blunt little shit. You know what I'm saying? But I liked it because it was straightforward. You see what I'm saying? Maybe gay, but straightforward. You see what I'm saying?
How does anyone ever tell about another? You guys should really talk to my sister Romaine. She was a close friend of Matthew's.
We never called him Matthew, actually. Most of the time we just called him Choo Choo. Because we used to call him Matthew, but then we just called him Choo Choo. And when I think of Matthew, I think about his incredible beaming smile. He'd just walk in and he'd be like, he just would smile at everyone. He'd make you feel great. And if there was anyone sitting at the end seat, he would like stare them off. And he really liked sitting in that seat so that he could talk to me while I was working. And he'd just sit there and stare at them until they left. And then he'd claim the spot. But Matthew definitely had a political side to him. I mean, he really wanted to get into political affairs. His TV was always tuned into MSNBC, CNN. I mean, that's what his big interest was. And he was really smart in political affairs, but not so smart in the common sense things. So he comes to Laramie to go to school.
Matt was very shy when he first came into school.
John Peacock, Matthew Shepard's academic advisor.
To the point of being so mousy, I'd say, he was having difficulties adjusting. But this is home for him, and he made that quite clear. His mousiness, his shyness gave way to this person who was excited about this track he was going to embark on. He was just figuring out, wanting to work on human rights, how he was going to do that. And when this happened, this person begins to bloom a little bit. And he was starting to say, wow, there are opportunities here. There are things in the world I can do. I can be important.
I did hear from Matthew about 48 hours before his attack. He told me that he just joined the gay and lesbian group on campus. And he was getting ready for Pride's Week in Woodstock. He was really stoked about school. Yeah, he was really happy about being there.
And in retrospect, and I can only say this in retrospect, but where I think he was heading towards human rights, which only adds to the irony and tragedy of this.
Let me tell you something else here. There's more gay people in Wyoming than meets the eye. I know for a fact. They're not the particularly, what do you call them? The queens, the gay people. Queens, run around back type people. No. They're the ones that throw bales of hay, jump on horses, brand them, and kick ass. You know what I'm saying? As I always say, don't f with Wyoming queer because they will kick you in your ass. But that's not the point I'm trying to make here. Because I know a lot of gay people in Wyoming. I know a lot of people, period. I've been living up here some 40-odd years. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think Wyoming people give a damn one way or another if you're gay or straight. That's what I said just now. Doesn't matter. If you have 8 men and 1 woman in a Wyoming bar, which is often the case, now you stop and think, who's getting what? You see what I'm saying? Now, geez, it don't take a big, intelligent mind to figure that one out.
My understanding when I first came here
Catherine Connolly.
is that I was the first out lesbian or gay faculty member on campus, and that was in 1992, so that wasn't that long ago. I was asked on my interview what my husband did. So I came up with this. You want a funny story? When you first get here as a new faculty member, there's all these things you have to do. So I was in my office and I noticed this woman called. I was expecting, it was a health insurance phone call, something like that. So I called her back and I could hear her. She's on a keyboard, clicking away and everything. And I said, "This is Kathy Connolly returning a phone call." And she said, "Oh, it's you." And I thought, this is bizarre. And she said, I I hear you're gay. I hear you are. And I was like, uh-huh. And she said, I hear you came as a couple. I'm one too, not a couple, just a person. And so she was a kind of lesbian who knew I was coming, and she wanted to come over and meet me immediately. She then later told me that there were other lesbians that she knew of who wouldn't be seen with me, that I would irreparably taint them, that just to be seen with me could be a problem.
When I came here, I knew it was going to be hard as a gay man.
Jonas Slonaker.
But I kept telling myself, people should live where they want to live. And there'd be times I'd go down to Denver, and I'd go to gay bars, and people would ask me where I'm from, and I'd say they're in Wyoming. And I met so many men down there, so many gay men who grew up here in Wyoming. And they're like, Laramie's not a place where I can live, I had to get out, how can you live there, grr, grr, grr. But every once in a while, there'd be this guy, oh gosh, I miss Laramie. I mean, I love it there, it's where I want to live. With this starry-eyed look on their face, and I'm like, if that's where you want to live, then do it. I mean, imagine if more gay people lived in small towns. But it's easier said than done, of course.
Today, we're moving from a hotel and heading for the best Western.
Moises Kaufman,
My hope is that it is a better Western.
Amanda Grunage.
We split up to go into different churches in the community today. Moises and I were given the Baptist church, and we got welcomed into the services by the Reverend himself, standing at the entrance of the chapel. This is what I remember from that morning.
My dear brothers and sisters, I'm here today to bring to you the word of the Lord. Now, I have a simple truth that I tell to all my colleagues, and I will tell it to you today. The word is either sufficient or it is not. Scientists tell me that human history, that the world is 5 billion or 6 billion years old. After all, what's a billion years give or take? The Bible tells me that human history is 6,000 years old. The word is either sufficient or it is not.
Ah, the sociology of religion in the West.
Stephen Meek Johnson, Unitarian minister.
That dominant religious traditions in this town. Baptist, Mormon, they're everywhere. It's not just Salt Lake, you know. They're all over. They're like a jam on toast down here.
The Mormon church is a little different thing that irritates me.
Doug Laws, state ecclesiastical leader for the Mormon church.
And that is that we believe that God speaks to man. We don't think it just happened and some folks wrote the Bible. No. God still speaks to man today. We believe that the prophet of the church has the authority to receive inspiration and revelation from God.
So the spectrum would be on the left side of the panel. So far left that I'm probably sitting by myself is me and the Unitarian Church. Unitarians are large humanists, many of whom are atheists. I mean, we're not even sure that we're a religion. And to my right on the spectrum, to his credit, Father Roger, who was well established here, God bless him, he did not equivocate at all when this happened. He held the vigil for Matthew that night.
I was really jolted because, when we were going to do the vigil for Matthew, we wanted to get other ministers involved. And we called some of them, and they said that they weren't going to get involved. They said, we're going to stand back and see which way the wind is blowing. And that angered me immensely. We're supposed to stand out as leaders. And I thought, wow, what is going on here?
God has set boundaries. And our responsibility is to find out what is it that God wants. So you study the scripture, you look to your leaders, and you find what the bounds are. Now, once you know what the bounds are, you sort of get a feel for what's out of bounds. There's a proclamation that came against the family. A family is defined by one man, one woman, and children. That is as clear as you can get. There's no sexual deviation in the Mormon church, no leniency. We just believe that it is out of bounds.
I warn you, you will be mocked. You will be ridiculed for the singularity of your faith. But you let the Bible be your guide. It's in there. It's all in there.
The Christian passages many of the conservative ones were silent on this. Conservative Christians use the Bible to show the rest of the world, and most Americans believe, and they do, that the Bible is the Word of God. And how are you going to argue against that?
I am a biblicist, which means the Bible doesn't need me to believe in it for it to be true. The Bible is true, whether I believe it or not. The word is either sufficient or it is not.
I arrived in Laramie on September 15th, and I looked around. Tumbleweed, cement factories, and I thought, what the hell am I doing in Wyoming? 3 weeks later, I found out exactly what the hell I was doing in Wyoming.
Today, I had breakfast with a university student named Zubaida Ullah. She is an Islamic feminist who likes to do things her own way.
I've lived in Laramie since I was 4. Yeah, my parents are from Bangladesh. 2 years ago, because I'm Muslim, I decided to start wearing a scarf. That's really changed my life in Laramie. Yeah. Like, people say things to me like, why do you have to wear that thing on your head? Like at the grocery store? I'm not looking to give people Islam 101. You know what I mean? So I'll be like, well, it's part of my religion. And they'll be like, this is the worst part. Because they'll be like, I know it's part of your religion, but why? And it's, how am I supposed to go into the whole doctrine of physical modesty in my own spiritual relationship with the Lord, standing there with my pop and chips? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, it's so unreal to me that, that a group from New York would be coming and writing a play about Laramie. And I was picturing you like you're going to be in a play about my town. You're going to be on stage in New York, and you're going to be acting like you're us. And that's so weird.
Hello? Yes, hello. My name is Amanda Gronich, and I'm working with the theater company here in Laramie. I went to the Reverend, your husband's sermon this Sunday, and I was extremely interested in speaking with him about his opinion on the recent events.
Well, I don't think he'd want to speak to you. He has very biblical views about homosexuality, and he doesn't condone that type of violence, but he also doesn't agree with that kind of lifestyle either. And the media's just been terrible about the whole thing.
Oh, I know. That must have just been horrible.
Yeah, it has. I think we're all just hoping that it just goes away.
Well, is there any way that I can call you back later and speak with your husband? Just briefly?
Well, you can call back tonight at 9.
Okay. Thank you so much. I'll do that.
Today, Barbara and I went to the Fireside Bar, which is the last place Matthew was seen in public.
The Fireside definitely feels like a college bar, with a couple of pool tables and a stage area for karaoke. Still, the few regulars that come into the late afternoon are hardly the college crowd.
The first person we talked to was Matt Mickelson, the owner.
My great-great-grandfather moved to Laramie in 1862. He owned Laramie's first opera house. It was called Old Blue Front. And in 1870, Grandma Louisa Swing cast the first women's ballot in any known free election. And that's why Wyoming was the equality state. So what I want to do is reestablish my bar's business as the Old Blue Front Opera House and Good Time Emporium. I want to have a pool hall. I want to have a restaurant. I want to have a gift shop. Do all this shit, you know. Every night's ladies' night. So the Fireside is the first step towards the Old Blue Front Opera House and Good Time Emporium.
So what about the night Matthew Shepard was here?
We had karaoke that night. 20 or 30 people here. Matt was sitting, well, right where you're sitting, you know, having a good time. If anything, you should ask Matt Galloway. He was the kid who was bartending that night. You'd have to meet him. His personality speaks for itself. Hey, is Galloway bartending tonight?
Okay, I'm gonna make this brief, quick, get it over with, but everything will be faster. Just the facts. Here we go. 10 o'clock, I clock in as usual on Tuesday nights. 10:30, Matthew Shepard shows up alone. He sits down and he orders a Heineken.
Phil LeBrie, friend of Matthew Shepard.
Matt liked to drink Heineken and nothing else. Heineken, even though he'd have to pay $95 for a six-pack, he'd always buy the same beer.
So, what can I tell you about Matt? If you had 100 customers like him, it'd be the most perfect bar I've ever been, okay? And nothing to do with sexual orientation. Absolute mannerisms, manners, politeness, intelligence, taking care of me as a tips, everything, conversation, you know, dress nice, clean cut. Some people, you know, just sits down, please, thank you, offers intellect within the vocabulary. So he kicks it here. Didn't seem like he had any worries or like he was looking for anyone. Just enjoys drinking the company around. Now, approximately 11:45, 11:30, 11:45, Aaron McKinney and Russell Henderson show up. I didn't know their names then, but they're the accused. They're the perps. They're the accused. They walked in very stone-faced, you know, dirty, grungy, rude, giddy, that type of thing. They walked into the bar and paid for a pitcher in dimes and quarters, which I mean is something you don't forget. $5.50 in dimes and quarters. That's a freaking nightmare. Now, Aaron and Russell, they didn't seem intoxicated at all when they came in. They just ordered their beer, took the pitcher with them to the pool room, and kept to themselves. Next thing I know, probably about half an hour later, they were sort of walking around. And I remember thinking to myself that I'm not going to ask them for another one. Because they obviously just paid for one in dimes and quarters. I have a real good feeling they don't have any more money.
Romaine Patterson.
Money meant nothing to Matthew because he came from a lot of it. And he'd throw away his wallet in 2 seconds because money meant nothing. His shoes might have meant something, but they could say it was robbery. I don't believe it for an iota of a second.
Then a few moments later, I look over and Aaron and Russell have been talking to Matthew Shepard.
Aaron told me that a guy came up to he and Russ and told him that he was gay and wanted to get with them.
Kristen Price, girlfriend of Aaron McKinney.
He said that he told him that he was straight and didn't want anything to do with him. He said that's when they decided that they were going to go to the bathroom, pretend like they were gay, and rob him. They were going to take him out to his truck and rob him, you know? They wanted to teach him a lesson about coming on to straight people or something.
Okay, no. They stated that Matt approached them, that he came onto them. I absolutely, positively disbelieve and refute that statement. 100%. Refute it. I'm going to give 2 reasons why. 1, character evidence. Why would Matt approach them? Why them? He wasn't approaching anyone else in the bar. They said he was gay. They said he was a flaming gay. He's going to come on to people like that? Bullshit. He didn't come on to me. Hello? He's going to come on to them? I don't believe it. 2, territorialism is the word I'm going to use for this. And that's the fact that Matt was just sitting there. Aaron and Russell were in the pool area upon their first interaction. They were in Matt's area, the area that Matt had been seeing all night. So, who approached who by that?
Matthew would never not talk to someone for whatever reason. They'd just walk up and he'd be like, oh, blah, blah, blah. He never had a problem starting a conversation with anybody.
Matt did feel lonely a lot of times. Me knowing that and knowing how gullible he could be, he would have fallen right for it. Knowing that he was at the bar alone without any friends made him that much more vulnerable.
So, what the thing is, and you know, this is what I'm testifying to because you know I'm basically the key eyewitness here. Basically, what I'm testifying to is that I saw Matthew Shepard leave. I saw 2 individuals leave with them, but I didn't see their faces. I did see the back of their heads, however, and at the same time, Aaron and Russell were no longer around. You do the math.
Actually, I think the DJ was the last one to see him on his way out. Gave him a cigarette or something. His name is Shadow.
I was the last person to speak to Matt before he left the fireside. I was just bullshitting around with my shit, you know. Then he stopped me. I stopped him, actually. And he's like, hey, Shadow, da-da-da. And I'm like, what, man? You getting ready to leave? And he's like, yeah, man, and this and that. Anyways, I look over at the door, and then I see some guys stood there. And you could see, well, you could see it. You know, they were looking over at him, and then he was looking over at them. And, well, you could just tell they were together. Anyways, we stood and talked for about 10 minutes, and then I look back over at the door, and then I see them guys getting, like anxious, you know, like, nervous to leave and shit. Anyways, I seen it when they took off. They took off in a truck, you know, it was a small black truck, so all three of them were sat in the front. And Matthew, well, he was sat right in the middle. I didn't think anything of it, you know. I didn't figure that God was gonna be like that.
Anonymous friend of Aaron McKinney.
I've known Aaron a long time. Aaron was a good kid. I liked Aaron a lot. That's why I was shocked when I heard about this. I'm like, I know he was living out far at this trailer park with this girl. They just started dating last summer. They must have got pregnant or something as soon as they started dating because, you know, they had a kid. He was only 21 years old, but he was running around with the kid. But you see, that's the kind of person Aaron was, you know, as he always dressed in those big clothes, as a Tommy Hilfiger, Polo, Gucci. At the time I knew him, he was just, you know, Aaron was just a kid trying to fit in, you know, acting cool, acting tough. But you know, you could get his face about it, and he would back down like he was some kind of scared kid.
Jerry Anderson.
Russell was just so sweet. He was the one who was the Eagle Scout. His whole presence was just quiet and sweet. So of course it doesn't make sense to me. And I know people snap or whatever. And it's not like we had a really intimate relationship. I was just his landlord. I did work with him at the chuck wagon. And I remember, like at the Christmas party, he was just totally drunk out of his mind. Like we were all pretty much just party time. And he wasn't belligerent. He didn't change. His personality didn't change. He was still the same little meek Russell. And I remember him coming up to me saying, when you get a chance, Sherry, can I have a dance? Which we never did get around to doing that. But now, I just want to shake him. You know? What were you thinking? What in the hell were you thinking?
Friends, I've been out there 4 times. I've taken visitors. That place has become a pilgrimage site. Clearly, it's a very powerful, personal experience to go out there. It's so stark and so empty. It's hard not to think about Matthew out there for 18 hours in nearly freezing temperatures. My God, why have you forsaken me? Comes to mind.
Company member, Greg Perotti.
Phil Labrie, a friend of Matthew's, took us out to the fence this morning. I broke down the minute I touched it. I feel such a strong kinship with this young man. On the way back, I made sure that no one saw me crying.
Lee Fonikowski.
Greg was crying on the way back. I couldn't bring myself to tears, but I felt the exact same way. I have an interview this afternoon with Aaron Creffields. He's the boy that found Matthew out there on the fence. I don't think I'm up for it. I'll see if someone else can do it. It was about 5 p.m. on Wednesday, and I was at my dorm and I kind of just felt like going for a ride. So I went to the top of Cactus Canyon. And I'm not super familiar with that area, so when I was going down, I didn't really know where to go, which Now that I think about it, it makes me think God wanted me to go down that way because there was no way I was going to go down that way. So I was just going down and I drilled it. I went over my handlebars because there was this sand dune and fell over. And there was something along the fence when I got up. And so I walked to it and I got closer. And I thought it was some type of scarecrow. But it ended up to be Matt. And I thought it was some type of Halloween gag because Halloween was coming up and I just thought it was a gag. But when I got even closer to it, I saw its hair. And that was the big sign for me noticing it was a human being. The chest was even moving up and down. And I just thought it was some type of mechanism. Thought it was a dummy. So the moment I realized it was a real human being, I ran to the nearest neighbor. I ran as fast as I could and I called the police.
I responded to the call.
Officer Reggie Flutie.
When I got there, at first, the only thing I could see was partially somebody's feet. So I got out of my vehicle and I raced over. I seen what appeared to be a young man, about 13, 14 years old, because he was so tiny laying on his back, and he was tied to the bottom end of the pole. I did the best I could. The gentleman that was laying on the ground, Matthew Shepard, he was covered in dry blood, and there was dry blood over his head, and there was dry blood underneath him, and he was barely breathing. I was gonna go breathe through him, but I couldn't get his mouth open. His mouth wouldn't open for me. He was covered in, like I said, partially dry blood. There was dry blood all over his head, and the only place he didn't have any blood on him was on his face, was where it appeared he'd been lying down his face. His head was distorted, it did not look normal. It looked as if he had a real large head.
I was working in the emergency room the night Matthew Shepard was brought in. I don't think that any of us can remember seeing a patient in that condition for a long time. Those of us who have worked in big city hospitals have seen this. But we have a lot of people here who've not worked in big city hospitals. And it's not something you expect. You expect it. You expect to see injuries like this from a car going down a hill at 80 miles an hour. You expect to see gross injuries from something like that. This horrendous, terrible thing. You don't expect to see that from someone doing that to another person. The ambulance report said it was speeding, so we knew.
If there was anything I could have done, I would have done it. But there was nothing. So I just stood there, screaming my legs out at him, just trying to get something out of him. Like, hey, wake up. Hello? But he didn't move. He didn't flinch. He didn't do anything.
He was tied to the fence. His hands were thumbs out in what we call a cuffing position, the way we handcuff people. He was bound with a really thin white rope. It ran around the bottom end of the pole, about 4 inches off the ground. His shoes were missing. He was tied extremely tight, so I used my boot knife to try to slip it in between the rope and his wrist. I had to be extremely careful not to harm Matthew any further.
Your first thought is, certainly, you'd like to think that it's somebody from out of town that comes through and beats somebody. Things like this happen, Shit happens, and it happens here in Laramie. But if there's been somebody that's been beaten repeatedly, certainly that is something that offends us. I think that's a good word. It offends us.
He was bound extremely tight. I finally got the knife through there. I'm sorry. We rolled him over to his left side. And when we did that, he quit breathing. Immediately, I put him back on his back, and that was just enough of an adjustment. It gave me enough room to put him breathe. I seen the EMS unit trying to get to the location. Once the ambulance got there, we put a neck on him, placed him on a backboard, and scooted him from underneath the fence. Then Rob drove the ambulance to Ivinson's hospital emergency room.
Now, the strange thing is, 20 minutes before Matthew came in, Aaron McKinney was grounded by his girlfriend. Now, I guess he got into a fight later on that night, back in town. So, I'm working in on Aaron, and the ambulance comes in with Matthew. Now, at this point, I don't know that there's a connection at all. So I tell Aaron to wait, and I go and treat Matthew. And there's Aaron in one room of the ER, and Matthew in another 2 doors down. Now, the moment we saw Matthew, it was obvious that his care was beyond our capabilities. Called a neurosurgeon at Badger Valley, and he was on the road in 1 hour and 50 minutes, I think.
They showed me a picture. Days later, I saw a picture of Matthew. I would have never recognized him.
Then, 2 days later, I find out that there's a connection. And I was very struck. There were 2 kids. They were both my patients, and there were 2 kids. I took care of both of them, of both their bodies. And for a brief moment, I wondered if this is how God feels when He looks down at us. How we're all His kids, our bodies, our souls. And I felt a great deal of compassion for both of them.
Some discovery in this fence. Late Wednesday afternoon, as the sun was setting, 2 bicycles approached. And at first they said it looked like a scarecrow tied to the fence. Instead, the lifeless, savagely beaten body of 21-year-old Matthew Shepard, a University of Wyoming freshman, a gay man, barely alive tonight, in a coma, brain damage, and on life support. Today, 2 young men.
This is John Peacock, Matthew's academic advisor.
Senators came to court with charge.
It was him. Yeah, I'm talking. Hundreds of reporters, hundreds of reporters everywhere. News reporters everywhere, news trucks everywhere on campus. This makes a really big dent in the town's population. And we're not used to this kind of attention to begin with. We're not used to this kind of exposure.
I was in the coffee shop, and someone said to me that there's been a boy who's been beaten in Laramie, and that his name was Matthew Shepard. And he asked, could this be our Matthew? And I said, it probably is our Matthew. So I called up my sister Trish and I told her, tell me what you know because I know absolutely nothing.
I was on the phone with my sister Romaine, and that's when the whole story came up on Channel 5 News. And it was just like, ba-boom. And I felt sick to my stomach. It was just instantly sick to my stomach. And I had to tell my sister Romaine, yeah, it was Matthew. It was your friend.
Well, I'll tell you what's overwhelming.
Matt Galloway.
Friday morning is the first I hear about it. I go to class, walk out, boom, there it is, in the branding iron. So immediately I drive to the nearest newsstand, buy a Lemmy Boomerang because I want more details. Buy that, go home. Before I can even open the paper, my boss calls me and he says,
Did you hear about what happened?
I say, yeah.
Was he in the bar Tuesday night?
I go, yes he was.
You've got to get down here. We've got to discuss what's going to happen.
By this time, I'm starting to get upset, but the severity wasn't out yet.
I got a call.
Rulon Stacy at Puget Valley Hospital.
We just got a kid in from Wyoming, and it looks like he may be the victim of a hate crime. We have a bunch of newspaper reporters here asking questions. And so we agreed that we needed one spokesperson. As CEO, I'll do that. And we'll try to gather all the information that we can.
It wasn't until I watched the 10 o'clock news that I found out the seriousness of the nature of it.
So I'm on the phone with Mickelson, and he's like,
We've got to go down to the arraignment. We gotta identify these guys and make sure they're in the bar that night.
so we go to the arraignment.
Our focus today turns to Laramie and the Albany County Courthouse. Well, Russell R. Henderson and Aaron James McKinney are being charged with the brutal beating of Matthew Shepard, a young, gay, University of Wyoming student.
The arraignment was on Friday, right around lunchtime. So I said, I'm just going. I just went. I just took off. It's just down the street. So I walked a couple of blocks, and I went. Has anybody told you about the arraignment? There were probably about 100 people from town, and probably as many news media. By that point, more of the details have come out. The fact that the perpetrators were kids, local kids themselves, that everyone from around here had some relationship to. And what I think everyone was really waiting on pins and needles for, what would happen when the perpetrators walked in. What happened was, there's 200 people in the courtroom at this point. They walked in their complete orange jumpsuits and shackles. You could have heard a pin drop. It was incredibly solemn. And I mean, lots of people were here at this point, and the judge came in and did a reading. There is a reading of the evidence that the prosecution has, and it's just it's a statement of facts. And the reading of the facts was...
The essential facts are that the defendants, Aaron James McKinney and Russell Arthur Henderson, met Matthew Shepard at the Fireside Bar. And after Mr. Shepard confided that he was gay, both subjects deceived the victim into leaving with them in their vehicle to a remote area. Upon arrival at said area, both subjects tied the victim to a bunk fence, robbed him, tortured him, and beat him. Both defendants were later contacted by officers of the Laramie Police Department, who observed inside the cab of their pickup a credit card and a pair of black patent leather shoes belonging to the victim, Matthew Shepard.
I don't think there was anyone left in that courtroom who wasn't crying at the end. I mean, it lasted 5 minutes, but it kept on getting more and more horrific, ending with...
Said defendants left the victim begging for his life.
Sergeant King.
How could this happen? I think a lot of people just don't understand, and even I don't really understand how someone could do something like this. We have one of the most vocal populations of gay people in the state, and it's pretty much just live and let live.
Laramie resident Jeffrey Lockwood.
My secret hope was that they were from somewhere else. Then, of course, you can create a distance. We don't grow children like that here. Well, it's pretty obvious. We do grow children like that here.
So that was the arraignment. And my response was pretty catonic. Not eating, not sleeping. Don't, no. Don't leave me alone right now.
More and more details came in with the sheer brutality, motivations, how this happened. And then, quite frankly, the media descended, and there's no more time to reflect on it anymore.
Laramie, Wyoming, often referred as the gem city of the plains, is now in the eye of the storm.
Eric McKenzie and his friend Russell Henderson were from Forsyth Town.
As a gay Polish student lay hospitalized in critical condition, this small town which prides itself as Laramie's hometown wrestles with its
People
attitude
like
to
to
gay
think
men.
that what happened to Matthew was an exception to the rule, but it was the key version of what happens in our schools on a daily basis.
It's a tough business, as Matthew Shepard and his friends know, to be gay in the cowboy country.
And, you know, this just kept happening. I just The words explainable for something such big as this, here in Laramie.
These people are predators. Like, I heard about this one time where this journalist found one of the judges using the urinal in the bathroom and started asking him questions. And when the judge said, "Hey, can I get some privacy?" the journalist was offended that he had asked for privacy. And I'm just thinking, this isn't how journalism started, you know? Like Gutenberg's press.
I'll tell you what, when hard copy came to take me, I take them at the exact same time. I have every word I ever said on tape. So, if they ever think of doing anything funny, they better watch.
Wyoming Governor Jim Geringer, first-term Republican up for re-election.
I am outraged and sickened by a heinous crime done unto Matthew Shepard. I extend my most heartfelt sympathies to the family. Yes.
Governor, you haven't pushed the hate crime legislation in the past.
I would like to urge the people of Wyoming to not overreact in a way that gives one group of people special rights over the others. We will wait and see if the vicious beating and torture of Matthew Shepard was indeed motivated by hate.
So you've got the beginning of the news story, and you've got the graphics in the background that they've got murder in Wyoming, and Wyoming's dripping red, like it's got blood in it or something. And I'm like, what is this? This is sensationalism. And we're here going, we had the guys in jail in less than a day. I think that's pretty damn good.
And for us to be more or less maligned,
Eileen and Gil ended.
that we are a good community, and we are. The majority of us are good people.
You get bad apples sometimes. I think that the gay community took advantage of this. Said this is a good time for us to exploit this.
Bill McKinney, father of one of the accused.
Had this been a heterosexual, these two boys decided to go on wrong, this would have never made the national news. Now my son is guilty before he's even had a trial.
I actually think the media's made people accountable. Like, before people were just sitting at home and watching TV and listening to CNN and Dan Rather and thinking, this isn't how Laramie is here. Well, how is it here?
Matthew Shepard update at 3 p.m. Saturday, October 10th.
People who by this point, I looked up there and where there had been 2 or 3 reporters, it must have been 10 to 15 still photographers and 20 or 30 reporters and 10 video cameras. The parents had just arrived. I had barely introduced myself to them. I looked up there and thought, my gosh, what am I going to do? Matthew Shepard was admitted in critical condition approximately 9:15 p.m. October 7th. When he arrived, he was unresponsive and breathing support was being provided. Matthew's major injuries upon arrival consisted of hypothermia and a fracture from behind his head to just in front of his right ear. This caused bleeding in the brain as well as pressure on the brain. There were also several lacerations on his head, face, and neck. Matthew's temperature has fluctuated over the last 24 hours, ranging from 98 to 106 degrees. We have had difficulty controlling this temperature. Matthew's parents arrived at 7 p.m., October 9th, and are now at his bedside. The following is a statement from them. First of all, we want to thank the American public for their kind thoughts about Matthew and their fond wishes for his speedy recovery. We appreciate your prayers and goodwill, and we know that they are something Matthew would appreciate too. We also have a special request for the members of the media. Matthew is very much in need of his family at this moment, and we ask that you respect our privacy as well as Matthew's, as we can concentrate all of our efforts, thoughts, and love for our son. Thank you very much.
Both Aaron McKinney and Russell Henderson pled not guilty to their charges. Their girlfriends, Chastity Paisley and Kirsten Price, also pled not guilty to their charges as accessories after the fact. On our next trip, we spoke to the chief investigating officer on the case, Detective Rob Debris of the Albany County Sheriff's Department.
I guess the thing that bothered me the most was when I went down to Pujay Valley, where Matt was, and the thing that bothered me the most was seeing him, touching him. As a homicide detective, I look at bodies, and this poor boy is sitting here, fighting all his life, trying so hard to make it. I wanted it so by the book, you know.
I keep seeing that picture in my head when I found him,
Aaron Greifels.
and it's not pleasant whatsoever. I don't want it to be there. And I want to get it out. And it's kind of unbelievable to me, you know, that I happen to be the one who found him. And I think the big question with me, like with my religion, is why did God want me to find him?
I know how to take care of myself, and I was irrationally terrified.
Catherine Connolly.
So what that means is not letting my 12-year-old son walk the streets, seeing a truck do a U-turn and thinking, it's coming after me. Having to stop because it shaking me so bad. And in fact, the pickup truck did not come after me, but my reaction was to have my heart in my mouth.
Ultimately, no matter how you dice it, I did have an opportunity.
Matt Galloway.
If I had an amazing hindsight of 2020 to have prevented what occurred, and I keep thinking, I should have noticed. These guys shouldn't have been talking to this guy. I shouldn't have had my head down those 20 seconds I was washing those dishes. Things I could have done. What the hell was I thinking?
So you do a lot of studying. You spend hours and hours and hours. You study and study and study. Talking to the officers, making sure they understand. Talking to your witnesses again. And always coming back to I get this flash of seeing Matthew. I wanted it so tight that there was going to be no way that they were going to get out of this.
One of the things that happened when I got to the fence,
Reggie Flutie.
it was just such an overwhelming amount of blood, and we tried to wear protective gloves. But we really had a cheap sheriff at the time. He bought us shit gloves. You know, you put them on, and they keep breaking. So you figure, well, don't hesitate. You know? That's what your mind tells you all the time. Don't hesitate. And you just keep moving, and you try to help Matthew, and you find an airway, and that's what you do. You know?
The thing I wasn't telling you before is that Reggie's my daughter.
Marge Murray.
And when she first told me she wanted to be a police officer, well, I thought there was no better job for her. She could handle whatever came her way.
Probably a day and a half later, the hospital called me and told me that Matthew had HIV. And the doctor said to me, you've been exposed and you've had a bad exposure. Because you see, I've been building a lean for my lungs, and my hands had a bunch of bullet cuts in them. So I was kind of screwed, you know? And you think, oh, shoot, you know?
Would you like to talk about losing sleep?
So I said to the doctor, okay, what do I do? And they said, get up here. So I got up there and we started the ATZ drugs immediately.
Now they told me that's a medication, that if it's administered at least 36 hours after you've been exposed, it can maybe prevent you getting the disease.
That's a mean, nasty medicine. Mean. I've lost 10 pounds and a lot of my hair, yeah.
And I wanted a last shot at somebody. Not at Matthew. Believe me, not a single one was mad at Matthew. But I wanted to maybe squeeze McKinney's head off. And then I think about Henderson, and just two absolutely human beings causing so much grief for so many people. It's been terrible for the whole family, but mostly for her and her kids.
Think about homes when girls with their moms that's for a living.
You know what I'm going to tell you now.
And my parents, you know, they both said the same damn thing.
You're quitting this damn job.
And it's just a parent thing. You know, they're just terribly proud of you. because you do a good job, whether it's handling a case like this or handling a drunk. But they don't want you getting hurt.
And like I said, there's a right way, there's a wrong way, then there's Reggie's way.
So finally I said, oh, for God's sakes, lighten up, Francis.
You're so stubborn.
They say I'm stubborn, but I don't believe them. Because I just think, okay, I've heard your opinion, and now there's mine. I'm 39 years old. What are they gonna do? Spank me?
Don't give me any ideas.
They're pretty funny though. But what can they say?
I just hope she doesn't go before me. I don't think I could handle
University Royal President, Philip DuBois.
So, there was this young person who read my statement on the Denver Post and sent an email to me directly. Read it, and it said,
You and the straight people of Laramie and Wyoming are guilty of the beating of Matthew Shepard, just as the Germans who look the other way are guilty of the deaths of the Jews, the Gypsies, and the homosexuals. You have taught your straight children to hate their gay and lesbian brothers and sisters, unless and until you acknowledge that Matt Shepard's beating was not just a random occurrence, not just the work of a couple of random crazies. You have Matthew's blood on your hands.
and it's like, I can't even begin to explain what that does to you. You can't possibly know what I'm thinking. You can't possibly know what this has done to me, to my family, and to my community.
In that first week alone, vigils were held in Laramie, Denver, Fort Collins, and Colorado Springs. And then in Detroit, Chicago, San Francisco, Washington, D.C., Atlanta, Nashville, Minneapolis, and Portland, Maine, among others. In Los Angeles, 5,000 people gathered. And in New York City, a political rally which ended in civil disobedience and hundreds of arrests. At the Puget Valley Hospital website, received close to 1 million visitors from all around the country and all around the world, all expressing hope for Matthew's recovery. Matthew Shepard, Medical Update, 9 a.m., Sunday, October 11th.
As of 9 a.m. today, Matthew Shepard remains in critical condition. The family continues to emphasize that the media respect their privacy. The family also wants to thank the American public for their kind thoughts and concerns for Matthew.
There are certain things when I say in church,
Jedediah Schultz.
and the Reverend will flat out tell you that he doesn't agree with homosexuality. And I don't know. I'm going through some changes right now. I'm learning about myself. And I don't think I know enough about certain things to make a decision that says homosexuality is right, when all my life I've been told it's wrong. Right now, I think that I don't agree with it. Yeah, that I don't agree with it, but maybe that's just because I couldn't do it. Religiously speaking, I don't think that's the way God intended it to be. I don't know. I mean, I don't hate homosexuals. I mean, I wouldn't persecute them or anything. I mean, that just won't be getting in the way of me, any other person, at all.
Well, it's preached in schools that being gay is okay.
Conrad Miller.
If my kids ever ask me, I'll set them down and I'll say, this is what gay people do, and this is what animals do, okay? I'll tell them, this is the life, this is the lifestyle, this is what they do. And I'll say, this is what I believe is wrong.
Yes, as a lesbian, I was more concerned for my safety.
Zaki Salmon.
I think we all were. I think deep down inside, we all knew that this could happen to any of us anytime. I mean, I'd be afraid to show any sort of physical affection to my partner, just walking down the street. We just don't do that here in Laramie.
There are a lot more gay people around than you think.
Murdoch Cooper.
Well, this does bother anyone though. because most of them are either gay or lesbian, and they know damn well what to talk to. People say, well, you're stepping in line, or you're asking for it. People have said that he made a pass at them. They don't pick up regular people like that. Well, I'm not excusing their actions, but it makes me feel better thinking that maybe it was Matthew's fault, and maybe the guy's fault. So maybe it was 50-50.
Well, there's this whole idea, you leave me alone, I leave you alone.
Jonas Swanaker.
It's even in some Western literature, you know, live and let live. That is such crap. I tell my friends that. Even my gay friends bring it up sometimes, and I'm like, that is crap, you know? Essentially, what it boils down to is if I don't tell you I'm a fag, you won't beat the crap out of me? What's so good about that? That's a good philosophy?
We went to the candy
Zubaida Kula.
and it was so good to be with people who felt like shit. I kept feeling like I didn't deserve to feel this bad. And someone got up there and said, come on guys, let's show the world that Laramie isn't this kind of town. But it is that kind of town. If it wasn't that kind of town, then why did it happen here? I mean, you know what I mean. Like that's a lie. Because it happened here. So how could it not be a kind of town where this sort of thing happens? Like that's just totally like looking at an Escher painting and getting all confused. Like that's just totally like circular logic. Like how can you say that? And we have to mourn this? And we have to be sad that we live in a town, a state, a country where shit like this happens? And I'm not gonna step up and say, let's show the world that this didn't happen. Because these are people who are trying to distance themselves from this crime. And we need to own this crime. I feel everyone needs to own it. We are like this. We are like this. We are like this.
I was in the fireside one afternoon when I ran into two friends of Aaron McKinney, Shannon and Jen. You know Aaron well, right?
Yeah, we both did. I mean, when I first heard about this, I thought it was really awful. I didn't know whether or not Aaron was up in the head or coming down with something or what, but what I do know is Matthew had money. Shit, he had better clothes than I did. Matthew was a little rich bitch.
You should have called him a little rich bitch, though. That ain't right.
I'm not saying he was a bad guy either. I'm just saying he was at the wrong place at the wrong time and said the wrong things. I'll be honest with you. There were times where I was all messed up on meth and I thought about robbing a bank. I mean, I never did, but the thought was there. Yeah, it was easy money.
They've done things like that before, you know? They both have. I know one time they went up to Cheyenne and they came back down with about $300. Like, I don't know if they ever chose gay people, you know, as like their particular targets, but anybody that they could outnumber or overpower was fair game.
But do you think there was any homophobia that contributed to some of this?
Probably. It probably would have pissed him off that Matthew was gay. Because the gay people that I've seen him interact with, well, he didn't like, you know, as long as they weren't hitting on him or anything like that, then he was fine.
Yeah, as long as they didn't do it in front of him.
Well, do you get the impression that Aaron knew other gay people?
Well, yeah. He worked up at KFC at one point, and the people there, I'm not saying it's a bad thing either. Half the people I know here in Laramie are gay.
Well, what would you guys say to Aaron if you saw him right now?
Ask him if we want to smoke any more tweed.
He wouldn't like that. I'd probably just ask him, man, what the hell were you thinking? But then I'd ask him if he was okay. I mean, he probably is, you know. But I'd probably just want to hang out with him. Smoke a bowl with him. I bet he wants one so bad.
So, both you guys went to Laramie High?
Yeah. Can't you tell? We're a product of our society.
On a day that is traditionally given over to nothing more profound than collegiate exuberance and the fortunes of the University of Wyoming football team, this community on the High Plains had a different kind of homecoming Saturday, as many searched their souls in the wake of a vicious, apparent anti-gay hate crime.
University President Philip Du Bois.
This was homecoming weekend, and there were a lot of folks in town, and there was a homecoming parade scheduled. So the students decided to get together and tag along in the back of the parade, behind the banner supporting Matthew, you know? And everyone was there. We're in the art bands that the students had created.
I live in the center of town,
Harry once.
and my apartment has windows on two opposite streets. One goes north and one goes south. And that is exactly the homecoming theater club. Now, on the day of the parade, I had a cast on it because of a fall. So, I was very disappointed because I wanted to walk with the people that were marching for Matthew, but I couldn't. So, I watched my window. It was just, I'm 52 years old and gay. I've lived in this town for many years, and I've seen a lot. And I was very moved when I saw the tag at the end of the parade. About 100 people were walking behind a banner for Matthew Shepard. So the parade goes down the street to the block to make a U-turn. So I go to the other side of my apartment to see it come back down south.
I was right in front there, where they were holding the banner for Matthew. And let me tell you, I've never had goosebumps so long in my life. It was incredible. A mass of people, families, mothers holding these 6-year-old kids and tying these armbands to these 6-year-old kids and telling them why they should be wearing an armband. I mean, it was incredible. It was one of the most beautiful things I've ever done in my life.
Well, about 10 minutes went by, and sure enough, the parade started coming back down the street. And then I noticed the most incredible thing. As the parade was coming down, the tag at the end grew about 5 times. About 500 people were walking for Matthew. 500! Can you imagine? And more people kept joining in. The tag at the end of the parade was bigger than the actual parade itself. And you know what? I started to cry. Tears were streaming down my face. And I thought, thank God I got to see this in my lifetime. And my second thought was, thank you, Matthew.
I haven't really been all that involved per se. I have a husband on the highway patrol team, and that's really the only way I've known about it. Now, when I first found out, I thought it was just awful. Nobody deserves that. I don't care who you are. But the other thing that wasn't brought out is at the same time that that was happening, that patrolman was killed. And there was nothing. Nothing. I mean, they didn't say anything about the old man that killed him. He was driving, and he shouldn't have been driving, and he killed him. And it's just a little piece of the paper. I mean, we lost one of our guys. And my husband worked with the man, you know? Like, he was brand new on the force, but he's still one of our guys, and it's just a little piece of the paper. Now, maybe part of it is my feeling that the media is making Matthew out to be some sort of saint, you know? Like, a martyr or something. And I don't think he was. I don't think he was that pure. Because, well, I didn't know him, you know? But the things I found out about him is just scary. Like, you know about his character, right? And about his spreading AIDS, and just the type of person that he was. He was, how do I say this? He was a barfly, right? I mean, I think he pushed himself around, you know? I think he flaunted it. And everybody's got problems. Why they're exemplifying him? I don't know. It's like, what's the difference if you're gay, right? A hate crime's a hate crime. If you murder somebody, you hate them. It doesn't matter if you're gay or a prostitute or whatever. I don't understand. I don't understand.
Company member Lee Fondakowski.
This was one of our last days on our second trip to Laramie. Greg and I had been conducting interviews nonstop and we're exhausted.
We were to meet Father Roger at 7:30 in the morning. I was wishing we could skip it all together, but we have to follow through to the end. So, here we go. 7:30 a.m., 2 peers and a Catholic priest.
Matthew Shepard has served us well. You realize that? He has served us well. And I don't mean to condemn him to perfection, but I cannot mention anyone in this community that has done more than Matthew Shepard. And I'm not going to sit back and say I was this bold guy, no fear. I was scared. I was very vocal in this community when this happened, and I thought, well, should we call a bishop and ask for permission to do a vigil? And I was like, hell no, I'm not going to do that. His permission doesn't make it correct, and I'm not knocking bishops or anything, but what is correct is correct. You two, however, are here on a search though. I will do this. I will trust in people that if you write a play of this, that you say it right, say it correct. I think you have a responsibility to do that. Don't make matters worse. You think violence is what they did to Matthew? They did do violence to Matthew. But you know, every time that you were called a fag, or you were called a les or whatever.
Or a dyke.
Dyke, yeah, dyke. Do you realize that is violence? That is the seed of violence. And I would resent it immensely if you were to use my words to somehow cultivate that sort of violence, even in its smallest form. I would resent it immensely. You need to know that.
Thank you, Father, for saying that.
Just deal with what is true, because you know what is true. You need to do your best to say it correct.
Andrew Gomez.
I was there. I was thrown in jail with Aaron in December. I got thrown in over Christmas. Assault and battery, 2 counts. I don't want to talk about it. But we was there trying to eat our Christmas dinner, so I was there trying to eat my stuffing, my little roll and whatnot. And I tell him, hey homie, tell me something. Tell me something, please. Why did you? Okay, I'm thinking how I worded this. I'm like, why'd you kill a faggot if you destined to be a faggot later? You know what I mean? I mean, think about it. He's either gonna get humped a lot, or he's gonna die. So why would you do that? Think about that. I don't understand that. And you know what he says? Honest to God, this is what he responds with. He goes, he tried to grab my. That's what he said, man. He's dumb, dog. He didn't even act like it was nothing. Now, I heard they were auctioning those boys off up in the Max Ward. You know, where the killers come. When they heard Aaron and Russell were coming to prison, they were auctioning those boys off. I want him. I put aside 5, 6, 7 cartons of cigarettes. Auction his ass off. I'd be scared to go to prison if I were those boys.
Hello?
Reverend?
Yes, hello.
Yes, I believe your wife told you a little bit about why I'm calling you today.
Yes, she did. And let me tell you, I don't really think that I want to talk to anyone about any of this incident. I'm somewhat involved, and
I completely understand. I went to your service on Sunday.
You went to my service on Sunday?
Yes, I did.
On Sunday?
Yes, this past Sunday.
Did I meet you?
You welcomed us at the beginning, I believe.
I see. Well, let me tell you, I'm not afraid to get controversial or to speak my mind. And those are not views of my congregation per se. As I said before, I'm somewhat involved. That half the people in the case, well, the girlfriend of one of the accused is a member of our congregation, and one of the accused has visited. Now, those two, the accused, they have forfeited their lives. We've been after the two I mentioned, trying to get them to live right, to do right. Now, one boy is on suicide watch. I'll work with him until they put him in a chair, turn him to juice. I'll try and work for his salvation. Now, I believe they deserve the death. I'll try and work with them spiritually.
Right, I understand.
And as for the victim, I know that lifestyle is legal, but I will tell you one thing. I hope that Matthew Shepard, as he was tied to that fence, that he had time to reflect on a moment that someone had spoken the word of the Lord to him, that before he slipped into a coma, he had time to reflect on his lifestyle.
Okay, well, thank you for speaking with me, Reverend. I really appreciate it.
About 11:30 that night, I had barely just gone to bed, and Marco, our chief operating officer, called and said his blood pressure has begun to drop. Well, let's just wait and see. She called about 10 after. He just died. So I quick got dressed and came in and went into the ICU where the family was. And Judy just walked up to me and she put her arms around me and I put my arms around her and we just stood there honestly for about 10 minutes because what else do you do? And then we talked about things that you just, Dennis, it's now public knowledge and I'm gonna walk up there and tell the whole world that this has happened. Because at this point, we knew it was the whole world. It was the whole world. And so, Judy told me what she wanted me to say. And I went out there at 4 a.m.
Matthew Shepard medical update for 4:30 a.m., Monday, October 12th.
At midnight, Monday, October 12th, Matthew Shepard's blood pressure began to drop. We immediately notified the family, who was already at the hospital. At 12:53, Matthew Shepard died. The family was at his bedside. The family did release the following statement. The family again asked me to express their sincerest gratitude to the entire world for the overwhelming response to their son. The family was grateful that they did not have to make a decision regarding whether or not to continue life support for their son. Like a good son, he was caring until the end, removing guilt or stress from the family. Matthew's mother said, "Go home, give your kids a hug, and don't let a day go by without telling them that you love them." And I don't know how I let this happen, but I lost it on national television. And you know, we've been up for about 72 hours straight and gone home and gone to bed for about half an hour and had to get up and come back in. And maybe I was just I don't know. But in a moment of complete breakdownness, while I was out there reading that statement, I thought about my own 4 daughters and go home, hug your kids, and she doesn't have a kid anymore. And there I am thinking, this is so lame. And then we had people respond to us, sending us letters and emails. And most of them were generally kind. But there was this one letter, a guy, he wrote to me and said, "Do you cry for our patients on TV? Or just the facts?" And as I've said before, homosexuality is not a lifestyle with which I agree, but being thrown into this, I guess I didn't understand the magnitude by which people can hate. And out of all of them, only 2 or 3 were something like that. Most of them were, "Thank you for your care and compassion." And you know, Matthew did have care and compassion from the moment he came in.
I spoke with Doc today and told him we would be coming back for the upcoming trials of Russell Henderson and Aaron McKinney. And this is what he had to say to me. "I'll tell you what, if they put those 2 boys to death, then it would defeat the whole purpose of everything Matt would have been thinking of. Because Matt wouldn't want to leave him out there to die. He wants to leave him with hope. HOPE. Just like the whole world thought that Matt would survive this. The whole thing, you see, ropes around code. HOPE. so bad. Big, huge wet snowflakes. And when I got there, there were just hundreds of people in black with umbrellas everywhere. And there were two churches, one for the immediate family, inviting guests, people of that nature, and then another one for anyone else who wanted to be there. And then still, hundreds of people were outside these churches, and they couldn't even fit inside. And there was a park by these churches, and that's where these people were. And this park was full.
The liturgy today is an Easter liturgy. It finds its meaning in the resurrection. The service invites your full participation. May the Lord be with you.
And also with you.
Let us pray.
And I guess it was the worst storm that they've ever had,
Tiffany Edwards.
or that anyone could tell. I mean, a couple of trees fell down and the power went out for a couple of days. And I just thought, it's the universe at work, you know? Like whatever spirit blows storms was clearly blowing the storm.
For our brother Matthew, let us pray to the Lord Jesus Christ, who said, I am your resurrection and the life. We pray to the Lord.
Hear us, Lord.
Lord, you who consoled Martha and Mary in their time of distress, draw near to us who mourn for Matthew, and wipe the tears of those who weep. We pray to the Lord.
Hear us, Lord.
You cried the grave of your friend Lazarus. Comfort us in our sorrows. We pray to the Lord.
Hear us, Lord.
You raise the dead to life. Give our brother eternal life. We pray to the Lord.
Hear us, Lord.
Comfort us in our sorrows. Let our faith be our consolation, and eternal life our hope. We pray to the Lord.
Hear us, Lord. My most striking memory from the funeral
Carrie Jane, Casper Star Tribute.
is seeing the Reverend Phelps from Kansas. That scene walking in the park.
Do you believe the Bible? Do you believe you're supposed to separate the precious from the Bible? You don't believe that part of the Bible? Then you're ignorant of the fact that the Bible, 2 times for every verse it talks about God's love, it talks about God's hate.
A bunch of high school kids who got up early came over and started yelling at some of these people at the protest, the Fred Phelps people. And you had people lining up across the street for the funeral. Well, I remember this one guy, this skinhead, wearing all leather with orange spikes everywhere. He came into the crowd, and I thought, this is gonna be a really ugly confrontation. But instead, he started leading them in amazing grace.
Amazing grace, how sweet.
We wouldn't be here if it was just another murder the state was going to deal with. The state deals with hundreds of murders every single day. This one is different because the facts are bringing us out here, trying to make Matthew Shepard into a poster boy for the gay lifestyle. And we're going to answer it. It's just that simple.
6 months later, we returned to Laramie for the trial of Russell on the Hens, the first of the 2 perpetrators. It was meant to be a capital murder trial. When we arrived to the Albany County Courthouse, Fred Phelps was already there, but so was Romaine Patterson.
When I saw Fred Phelps protesting at Matthew's funeral, and when I found out that he had come to Laramie for the trial of Russell Henderson, I decided that somebody needed to stand toe-to-toe with this guy and show the differences. I think at times like this, when we're talking about hatred as much as the nation is right now, that there needs to be someone who shows that there's a different way of dealing with that type of hatred. So our idea is to dress up like angels. And we've designed such a fit that the wings are going to be huge. And because of these big ass wings, we're going to completely block Phelps. And what this is going to do is it's going to bring forth a message of peace and love and compassion. These 21-year-old little lesbians ready to walk the line of hope.
When those old preachers lay their hands on me, it's called an ordination. Mine was from Isaiah chapter 58, verse 1. Cry aloud, spare not. Lift up thy voice like a trumpet and show my people their transgressions.
And I knew my angels were going to be taking the burden of whatever he had to yell and to say. So I went to the store and bought my angel's earplugs.
The court is now in session. Will Maine Patterson's sister, Trish Steg.
When the whole jury selection started, I had people coming into my shop with, I really hope I don't get chosen. I don't want to be a part of this trial. Or, oh my God, I've been chosen. How do I get off? Just wanting to stay as far away from the trial as possible. Very fearful of having to be a part of that jury. And then I heard that Henderson had to be there while they were questioning the prospective jurors. And one of the questions that they asked was, would you be okay with sending this man to his death? And as I understand, a lot of the comments were, yes, I would, Your Honor.
Yes, I would, Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Now, can you imagine that? Just juror after juror after juror?
You entered a not guilty plea earlier, Mr. Henderson, but I understand you wish to change your plea today. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
You understand that the recommended sentence here is 2 life sentences.
Yes, sir.
Do you understand that those may run concurrently or consecutively?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Henderson, I will now ask how you wish to plead. Guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
Before the court decides whether these charges will be concurrent or consecutive, I hear there is a statement to be made by at least one individual.
The following excerpt is a statement made to the court by Lucy Thompson.
As the grandmother and the person who raised Russell, along with my family, we have written the following statement. Our hearts ache for the pain and suffering that the shepherds have went through. We have prayed for your family since the very beginning. Many times throughout the day, I have thought about Matt, and you will continue to be in our thoughts and our prayers. As we know your pain will never go away, you have showed such mercy in allowing us to have this plea. And we are so grateful that you are giving us all the opportunity to live. Your Honor, we, as a family, hope that you sentence Russell, that you will do it concurrently, 2 life terms. For the Russell we know and love, we humbly plead, Your Honor, do not take Russell completely out of our lives.
Thank you. Mr. Henderson, you have a constitutional right to make a statement if you wish to do so. Do you have anything that you would like to say?
Yes, I do, Your Honor. Mr. and Mrs. Shepherd, there is not a moment that goes by that I don't think about what happened that night. I know what I did was wrong, and I truly am very sorry for what I've done. I hope that one day you'll find in your hearts to forgive me for what has happened. Your Honor, I'm very sorry for what I've done. I know what I did was wrong. I'm ready to pay my debt for what I have done.
Mr. Henderson, you drove the vehicle that led Matthew Shepard to his death. You tied him to that fence in order that he may be more savagely beaten, and that he may not escape to tell his tale. You left him out there for 18 hours, knowing full well that he was alive, perhaps having an opportunity to save his life, and yet you did nothing. Mr. Henderson, this court does not believe you feel any true remorse for your part in this matter. And I wonder, Mr. Henderson, whether you fully realize the gravity of this situation. The court, therefore, finds it appropriate that sentencing be as follows. As to count 3, that being felony murder with robbery, that you are to serve a period of imprisonment for the term of your natural life. As to count 1, kidnapping, that you are to serve a period of imprisonment for the term of your natural life. Sentencing to count 1 to run consecutive to count 3.
After the trial, we spoke to Russell's Mormon home teacher. I've known Russell's family for 32 years. Russell's only 21, so I've known him his whole life. I ordained Russell priest of the Mormon Church, so, as you would imagine, disbelief. The church decided to hold a disciplinary council after the hearing. This meeting concluded, they excommunicated him from the church. What that means is that they take your name off the books, so you just disappear. Russell's reaction to this was not positive. It hurt him. It made him realize how much of a transgression he had committed. But I will not abandon Russell, for that is a matter between my religion and my friendship with him and his family. Before we left Laramie, we met again with Rebecca Hilliker, head of the theater department. She's going to produce Angels in America this year at the university.
I think the focus the university has taken is that we have a lot of work to do. We have an obligation to find a way to reach our students. But the question with that is, how do you reach an entire state where there's some deep-seated hostility towards the gays? How do you reach them? This is the beginning. And guess who's auditioning for the lead?
My parents.
Jonadiah Schultz.
So my parents were like, what plays are you doing this year? And I was like, Angels in America. And I went through the whole list of plays, and they were like, oh, Angels in America. Isn't that play you did in high school, that scene you did in high school? And I was like, yeah. So they said, okay, well, are you going to audition for it? And I said, yeah. And they didn't really like that. We got in a huge argument. But I knew that the best thing I had on them is that just before they see me in a production of Macbeth. And on stage, I killed this little kid and Lady Macbeth and these 2 other guys. And so she kept saying, my mom, she kept saying, well, you know, homosexuality is a sin. And I told her, Mom, you just watched me play a murderer on stage tonight, and you didn't seem to have a problem with that. I tell you, I've never prepared myself this much for an audition. Never ever. Not even close.
Well, you're tested every 3 months. And I was able to get a DNA test done. And so they got me to Fort Collins. They drew blood there, and they flew over to Michigan and did all the DNA work there. Then, which was a week later, I found that I was negative for good.
I'll tell ya, we were all on our knees saying Hail Marys.
You were just elated, you know? And you just thank God.
So, what's the first thing she does?
I stuck my tongue right into my husband's mouth. I was so happy. You're just so happy. And you think, yeah, I hope I did the service well. I hope I did it with some integrity. And, you know, my daughters, they just bawled.
They were so happy.
And the force.
Oh boy.
We went out and got
Shit-faced.
It was great. We all had drinks, we all hugged and cried, and, you know, I kissed everybody who walked into the door.
Reggie, they don't even know all
I didn't care if they were male or female. They each got a kiss on the lips.
that. What part of what I just told you did you not understand?
Oh, get over it, Ma!
Almost a year to the day Matthew Shepard died, the trial for Aaron James McKinney was set to begin.
Probably the question that most of you have in mind is, how the McKinney case will proceed.
Paolo Mucha, prosecuting attorney.
And it's been the decision of the county's attorney's office that it will definitely be a death penalty case.
Part of me wants McKinney to get it, but I'm not very proud of that. I mean, I've been off and on about the whole thing, and I think I'm just too close to the case. I don't know what I would do.
Oh, I believe in the death penalty 100%. I want to make sure this guy's ass dies. I truly believe in instances like this, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth.
I don't know about the death penalty, but I do know I never want to see them walk out of Rollins Penitentiary. I'll pay a nickel a day, my little percentage of tax, a nickel a day, to make sure that their ass is staying there and never see society again. Most definitely, never coming to my bar again.
I don't believe in the death penalty. It's too much for me. I don't think that killing one person is redemption for his having killed another. Two wrongs don't make a right.
How can I protest if the Shepherds want McKinney dead? I can't interfere in that. But on a personal level, I knew Aaron in grade school, but we never called him Aaron. We just called him AJ. How can we put AJ McKinney to death?
I think right now, our most important teachers must be Russell Henderson and Aaron McKinney. How did you learn? What did we as a society do to teach you that? See, I don't think many people will let other people be their teachers, but I think it'd be wonderful if the judge said, in addition to your sentence, you must tell your story.
All rise. State of Wyoming versus Aaron James McKinney, docket number 6381. The Honorable Barton R. Boyd presiding. The court is in session.
During the trial, the prosecution played a tape recording of Aaron's confession. Here is an excerpt of that confession.
My name is Rob Debris, Sergeant of the Sheriff's Office. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and may be used against you in the court of law. Okay, so you and Russ go to the fireside. So you're at fireside by yourselves, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Where do you go after you leave the fireside?
Some kid wanted to ride home.
What's he look like?
Like a queer. Such a queer dude.
He looks like a queer?
Yeah, like a fag, you know?
Okay. How'd you meet him?
He wanted to ride home, and I thought, the dude's drunk, let's just take him home.
When did you and Russ talk about jacking him up?
We kind of talked about it at the bar.
Okay. What happened next?
Well, we drove out past Walmart, and he started sliding his hand up my leg. And I was like, look, I'm not a fucking faggot. If you touch me again, you're gonna get it. I don't know what he was trying to do, but I beat him up pretty bad. I think I killed him.
What'd you beat him with?
Knocked out, my fist, my pistol, the butt of the gun. Wondering what happened to me. I had a few beers and I don't know. It's like I could see what was going on. I don't know. It's like someone else was controlling me.
What was the first thing that he said or that he did in the truck that made you hit him?
Where he started sliding his hand on my leg, grabbing my balls.
Well, did he ever try to defend himself against you or hit you back?
Well, yeah, he tried his little swings or whatever, but they weren't really effective.
Okay. How many times did you hit him inside the truck before you guys stopped where you left him?
I'd say I hit him two to three times, maybe 3 times with my fist and 6 times with my pistol.
Did he ask you to stop?
Oh yeah, he was getting the shit kicked out of him.
What did he say?
Well, after he asked me to stop, well, all he was doing was screaming.
So Russ kind of dragged him over to the fence, I'm assuming, and tied him up?
Yeah, something like that. I just remember Russ was laughing at first, but then he got pretty scared.
Was Matthew conscious while Russ tied him up?
Yeah, I told him to turn around and don't read my license plate number because I was scared he would tell the police. I asked him to read it, and he did. So I hit him a few more times.
Just to be sure. So obviously you don't like gay people.
No, I don't.
Would you say you hate them?
I wouldn't say I hate them, but when they start coming on to me, I get pretty aggravated.
Did he threaten you?
This gay dude?
Yeah.
Not really.
Can you answer me one thing? Why do you guys take his shoes?
I don't know. Now, ever going to see my son again?
I don't know. You probably go to court sometime today.
Today? So I'm just going to go in there, plead guilty or not guilty today?
No. You're just going to be arraigned today.
He's going to die for sure.
There's no doubt that Mr. Shepard is going to die.
So, what are they going to give me? 25 to life or just give me the death penalty and get it over with?
That's not our job. That's the judge's job and the jury.
Has the jury reached a verdict?
We have, Your Honor. We, the jury, impaneled and sworn to try the above case, unanimously find as follows. As to the charge of kidnapping, we find the defendant, Aaron James McKinney, guilty. As to the charge of aggravated robbery, we find the defendant, Aaron James McKinney, guilty. As to the charge of first-degree felony murder, we find the defendant, Aaron James McKinney, guilty. As to the charge
Aaron
of
McKinney was found
first-degree
guilty of felony murder, meaning the jury could give him the death
Aaron
penalty.
James McKinney.
That evening, Judy and Dennis Shepard were approached by McKinney's defense team, who pled for their client's life.
Aaron James McKinney.
Following
Guilty.
morning, Dennis Shepard
As to the charge
released a statement to the court.
Aaron James McKinney.
Here's an excerpt of what he said.
Guilty.
My son did not look like a warrior. He was rather uncoordinated, wore braces from the age of 13 till the day he died. However, as all to be fly, he proved he was a winner. On October 6, 1998, my son tried to show the world that he could win. Again. On October 12, 1998, my fourth-born son, Mike, was lost. On October 12, 1998, my fourth-born son, Mike, died 50 days before his 22nd birthday. Matt officially died in a hospital in Fort Collins. Matt actually died on the outskirts of Laramie, tied to a fence. You, Mr. McKinney, you and your friend Mr. Henderson left him out there by himself. But he wasn't alone. He had his lifelong friends with him. You might be wondering who these friends are. He had the beautiful night sky, same stars and moon we see through a telescope. He had the daylight, the sun to shine on him. And through it all, he was breathing the pine trees and the snowy range. He had one more friend. He had God. And I feel better knowing that. Matt's beating, hospitalization, and funeral focused worldwide attention on hate. Good is coming out of evil. People have said enough is enough. I miss my son, but I'm proud to say that he is my son. Judy has been quoted as being against the death penalty. It has also been stated that Matt was against the death penalty. Both of these statements are wrong. Matt believed that there are certain crimes and incidences that justify the death penalty. I too believe in the death penalty. I'd like nothing better than to see you die, Mr. McKinney. However, this is the time to begin the healing process. to show mercy to one who refused to show any. Because of that, every time we celebrate a Christmas, a birthday, 4th of July, remember that isn't. Every day when you wake up in your prison cell, you remember you have the opportunity and the ability to stop your actions at that. You robbed me of something very precious. And I would never forgive you of that. So, Mr. McKinney, I grant you life and memory of one who no longer lives. May you live a long life. And may you thank Matthew every day for it.
Me and Debris hugged and cried. You know, everybody had tears in their eyes, and you're just so thankful. And Mr. Shepard was crying, and that got me bawling, and everybody just... Maybe now we can go on, we can quit being stuck, you know?
It hit me the minute that I left the courthouse. The reason why God wanted me to go down that path. And it was so that Matthew didn't have to die out there alone. Because if I hadn't have gone down that way, they wouldn't have found him for at least a couple of weeks. So it makes me really happy to know that he didn't have to die out there alone.
I'm just glad it's over. I really am. Testifying in that trial is one of the hardest things I've ever done. And don't get me wrong, I love the stage. I really do. I love it. But what makes it difficult is that you got lawyers questioning you from this way, and your answers are supposed to be funneled this way to the jury. So what you have to do is establish a funneling system. And that's hard for me because, you know, I'm a natural conversationalist. So whenever somebody asks me a question, I can look them straight in the eye and answer. But it's hard when you have to literally scoot over and, in effect, change your position to answer to where the jury is. But I was able to do that several times over the course of my testimony.
It's time to move on. And I even think where the citizens are painting the town red, so to speak, they're just going to be glad to maybe get moved on.
On our last trip, I had the good fortune of seeing Jedediah Schultz played a role prior in Angels in America. After the performance, he spoke. I didn't, for the longest time, let myself become involved in the whole Matthew Shepard thing. I thought it was just talked about all the time. I thought it was just exaggerated. Matthew Shepard was just a name instead of an individual. I don't know, man. I don't know. It's weird. I can't believe I said all that stuff about homosexuals, you know. That's why I wanted to listen to those interviews from last year, when I said all that stuff. Just can't believe I said all that stuff. Like, how did I let myself believe that that made you any different from me?
This is Romaine Patterson.
Well, a year ago, I wanted to be a rock star. That was my goal. And that's clearly changed over the year based on everything that's happened. So instead of going to school for music, I'm going to school for communications and political science because I think I have a future in political activism. I've really realized my role in taking my part. And when I think of any of the speaking that I've done, or the Angels, I always think about how Matthew gave me, how he's leading this path for me. And he's just guiding it with his light. And whenever we reach a door, he opens it and says, okay, next step. And if I get to be a rock star on the side, okay.
This is Jonas Slomker.
Change is not an easy thing, and I don't think people were up to it here. They got what they wanted. Those who got what they deserved, and we look good now. The town's cleaned up and we don't need to talk about it. You know, it's been a year since Matthew Shepard died, and they haven't passed shit in Wyoming. Let's come out of this. Let's come out of this that's concrete or lasting.
We all agreed we'd meet again. One last time. At the fence.
I've been up to that side of my limousine, okay? And I remember the night that he and I were driving around. He asked me, Laramie sparkles, doesn't it? And if you were there, if you were in the exact same spot that Matthew was, Laramie does sparkle from up there, the low-lying cloud. It's the blue lights that's bouncing off the airport, and it goes right over the whole city. I mean, it just blows you away. I could just picture what Matthew was seeing this final time. The last thing he saw on this earth was the sparkling lights.
We've spent the last 2 days packing a year's worth of materials and saying our goodbyes. We've been here at least 6 times, 7, and conducted over 200 interviews. Jedediah cried when we said goodbye.
Marge wished us luck, and when we asked her how Laramie would feel seeing a play by itself, she said,
Well, I think it could be nice to show that we're not the hellhole of the earth. But that depends on how you portray us. And that, in turn, depends on how Laramie behaves.
As we were getting off the phone, she said to me,
Now take care. I love you, honey.
Doc asked me if I wanted to ghostwrite a book about this whole incident. Galloway offered me or anyone else a place to stay, if and when we returned to Laramie. He also seemed interested if there were any open auditions for this play.
We left Laramie at around 7 in the evening, and on our way out, I took a look at my rearview mirror to take one last look at the town.
And I would speak with you that if you write a play this, that you say it right. You need to do your best to say it correct.
And in the distance, see sparkling lights, Laramie, Wyoming.